David Short.
And I'm Matthew Rowe.
We watched a movie today.
Beneath the Darkness.
Beneath the Darkness.
With Dennis Quaid.
You know, it looked a lot like this.
Riveting.
And we should probably turn on the light.
Yeah, probably.
Alright, hold on. Ugh. There we go. Yeah. See how easy that was? Light up a scene.
Flick the switch.
That's all you gotta do, filmmakers.
Had a fill light.
That's it. So yeah, this movie. We decided,
well, at least I decided, since it was my turn to choose the movie this week, that I wanted to go with more of a well-done movie so I can stomach the bad shit a little bit better because the quality's a little bit better.
That's only because he couldn't find a movie worse than The Talking Cat.
Well, for now. But there's definitely ones out there. But this movie we settled on. I had heard a lot about this movie before because of the director, Guigui. I know his last name is Guigui.
Guigui.
Was it Martin or something like that?
Something like that.
Oh, no. But this guy apparently was directing Raging Bull 2, which was turned into the movie The Bronx Bull, which is either coming out or has already been released and in the process of being released this year.
Whatever. Yeah,
alright, and people who know my taste in movies know that one of my lower appreciated Scorsese films is Raging Bull, but still at the same time, you do not make a sequel to it. And this movie came out first, and it was this big release movie that, also Dennis Quaid, was a big name attached to it, that this guy's directed. And this movie cost $7 million.
Did you say bigger release?
It was a bigger release.
No, it was a limited release.
It was a bigger release than the rest of his films.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, though, it cost $7 million, and it made back about $900,000.
9,000.
9,000.
9,000.
No, it was 9,800. It was 9,800.
9,800. Not a good run.
I mean, to be honest, actually, there's plenty of great movies that have gotten shitty returns at the box office, but this movie's box office mimics its quality.
Mm-hmm.
Plot.
Oh, okay.
Plot.
Okay, that'll be easy-ish. All right, minute on the clock. There is a man, Dennis Quaid, named Eli, who is a murderer in his town because his wife was cheating on him. That's the whole big reveal in the end. Those spoilers. Meanwhile, there's these group of kids that are basically the mystery gang from Scooby-Doo. They hear about this ghost in Eli's yard, and when they go to investigate, oh, look at that, Eli kills one of them. So now their whole movie is trying to prove that Eli is this murderer guy, while trying to save their own asses throughout the entire thing. Nothing else happens. The entirety, we reached the 45-minute mark halfway through, and we thought, what more can they fucking do? And they don't do a damn thing. That's my minute review. Oh, in the end, he's trapped in a coffin, and
But he doesn't die.
There's
no poetic justice
here. He comes
here.
back. So
he ends up in an asylum at the end. I'm like, ooh, he's even chained up too. And I'm like,
they really didn't trust it.
It's like, oh, fuck this guy. No, you're not getting out.
Okay, so yeah, we're
you made the day after tomorrow. You're staying in here.
Normally, what we do is after plot. Well. No. After plot, we go on to characters. But we're going to save that. So let's just talk about the plot, the story right now. It was boring.
First screenplay by this writer.
It was boring.
It's not very promising.
It was boring.
Twas indeed. Now, the character, not necessarily the character, how they portrayed the characters and whatnot, the character that Dennis Quaid plays, Eli, the killer of the story.
Yes.
Not a bit of it is based in fact.
No. Not that we're saying.
I have a very cursory knowledge of the ways of what functions as sociopaths and psychopaths and whatnot, but I have knowledge enough to know that the incarnation in this movie is not real or plausible.
This is not a psychopath. This is not a sociopath. This is not a path. This is a mental breakdown.
This is a guy who went nuts. And
because
also,
his wife cheated on him.
It's not consistent either. Because in some parts of it, especially the way that he talks to his dead wife's corpse, because he saves her corpse. That's yeah. One, does a really good job.
Oh, sorry. He's a mortician.
He's a mortician.
So he's around death a lot.
Yeah, and we get that. And the thing is, I will say one thing, though, that Rosemary, his wife, even if she, if she was embalmed to preserve her and whatnot, she would not be able to flop around like she does. And whatnot, so...
Because he's dancing with her.
Yeah, he dances with her in like at least 2 or 3 scenes. And he moves her around too. But the thing is, like, he talks to her corpse like he's talking to her that she's alive, but at the same time, in one scene, that he knows that she's dead, and he did this whole thing about faking her funeral and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, there's no consistency with which brand of crazy this guy is.
Right.
Now, of course, you can have whatever the fuck you want be, the crazy guy in your movie. It's your movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if there's not some bit of actual relevant fact, it's really hard to keep your audience members who do know.
Right, crazy is hard to pin down, but you can always tell in a movie when there's someone who's actually crazy or has at least a sort of thing that is defined in medical things, and the crazy that just drives the plot. The crazy that's like, oh, look at me! I'm a killer!
I think a really good thing to compare this to is the new NBC show Hannibal that just came on. I was actually very surprised with it. Very good show. And I'm a really big fan of the original books, Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. The rest of them are stupid. And as also like the Red Dragon, Manhunter, and the Silence of the Lambs movies. I even like Ridley Scott's Hannibal for a little bit, but shut the fuck up. But the thing is, though, in the television series, is the first time I've ever seen the character of Hannibal portrayed like a legitimate sociopath. Yeah. That this guy is, or at least a psychopath. Now, he's a psychopath. There is a difference. That people interchange those words all the time, but they're 2 different things. A sociopath is what Sherlock Holmes is in the show Sherlock.
Not good at social situations.
Yeah, and whatnot. Social, whatever. But the thing is, though, psychopaths are people who are completely in control, who know the consequences of their actions, but they do it anyway. And they are very, very intellectual and formulative to how to cover their tracks. They never kill in the same way.
They don't let emotion get in the way.
They don't really even have emotion. They're not capable of it. And yeah, I mean, and that's something you can learn just by watching Hannibal. It's actually based a lot on fact. You can do the same thing with Criminal Minds, because that's all about psychologically profiling killers and serial killers and whatnot. This movie has absolutely no idea what it's talking about. Thus, Dennis Quaid's performance is fun. He definitely is trying to go for crazy, but they've made a good point. Yeah. They've made a good point about Dennis Quaid, though.
Oh, what, the ooga booga booga?
No. He would have done a much better job at portraying this character if he didn't try to be crazy. If he acted straight with the way that these lines are written, then it would have come off as creepy.
I want to try to word this off right here. You got a guy like the Joker. I know it's used a lot when talking about people who are crazy, but he's not really crazy, per se. He's definitely got some pathic tendencies, whether it's sociopathic or psychopathic or whatever.
What the hell it is.
But he's not so much crazy. He has a very logical plan, and he gets to his goal through those steps. Those steps are just really against the law. But the people, he has such a front to it. He has such this theatrical, like, the Joker persona, pretty much, that it is...
Well, it depends on which variation of the character you're talking about. But yeah, right. I get you.
The problem being, that's what made him so creepy in this, and the scars, obviously. But he was a man. He had a plan, and he was very creepy in doing it. This was Dennis Quaid's character, a crazy guy. At least they wanted to make him a crazy guy. He was a crazy guy, but he didn't act just normal.
Get 2 tickets to the gun show.
Norman Bates from the original Psycho. That guy, he is crazy, but he is just a guy. He is, I mean, he's definitely got some issues, but he's just a guy. He plays it as a normal guy who just has mommy issues, pretty much.
Well, that and also the fact of the matter is that he doesn't know he's crazy.
Exactly.
That's one thing about crazy people. They don't know they're crazy. And the way that that Dennis Quaid plays the character, he's 100% aware that he's nuts. But then again, at the same time, in certain scenes, he's not aware that he's nuts. So there's no consistency with the character. And that's the way it is with every one of these characters. If a character's supposed to be intelligent...
I said characters last.
Well, you know, this is where my mind goes. Okay?
I know. Hold on.
You can't talk about the script without talking about the characters.
But we haven't talked about the script at all.
The script we're talking about how it's generic and boring and plotting.
I wanted to go over story points.
Well, then go over the story points.
Okay. I haven't gotten a word in the intro.
Yes, you have.
Basically, there are just moments throughout this script that they connect the boring moments. Like, you just sit there and you're like, that seriously just fucking happened? But then the rest of the time you're like...
I want one of those things to happen again.
Yeah, the rest of the time you're just sitting there. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know. Half the time it was because we couldn't see jack shit.
There was that. But,
This is one part where this girl was sitting in a...
Yeah, she was entombed in a coffin. She's, like, underneath the ground, covered in a tarp and all that, and it's at night, so it is virtually pitch black. I guess they were going for the natural lighting route because they cut away from the scene to show her in the coffin. And then they cut back to the scene. Problem being, she was, like, unconscious in the coffin. We couldn't see her.
No, she wasn't unconscious, but there was no light.
Right. We couldn't see her, we couldn't hear her, there was nothing going on.
I think I heard a faint rustle, maybe.
Yeah, so we cut to that and we thought, something going on?
Was it like a 5-minute intermission?
Yeah.
5-second intermission, actually?
And then they just went back. It's like, oh wait, she's in the coffin. Oh, okay.
We had to guess with the linear editing here.
But then, throughout the story, it's just little moments that get you through it. And it's, God, what was the one moment the moment that opened it up. Two guys jogging along a road. One guy walking his dog. The other guy's Eli. He's the murderer. He walks up. He's like, "So, you've been working out then?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know, just got 2 tickets to the gun show." And then the guy laughs. He's like, "No, really, 2 tickets to the gun show."
Ha! Ah!
It's like, really?
Yeah.
That was the strongest opening you had?
It doesn't even qualify to being dated or cliche. It was just so out of place because the character, like, he kept throwing those liners in. Like, there's this character that he stomps he gives him a curb stomp on the stairs. He's like, you know, most accidents happen in the home. Like, really?
It's, what is it? I think it's Silent Night, Deadly Night, the garbage day.
That was part 2, yeah.
Part 2. Silent Night, Deadly Night, part 2. Guy's just bringing out his trash. And
garbage day! But, yeah.
It's just out of place.
It's not even as memorable as that. At least that one became an internet meme. But, cinematography we pretty much covered. When you can see something, it's well shot. But when you can't see something, well, we can't fucking tell. But, other than that, sound design was very well done. You could do that. The score was...
I didn't notice it, which I guess maybe
basic.
is a sign of a good score?
It can be, but at the same time it can't be, because it's just so basic. Basic chords for a horror thriller. Basic. Very, very basic. I mean, and that can work. Basic stuff is fine. It's a building block. But that's the thing. It's a building block. You're supposed to build off of it.
Yeah, it is. And, what is it? When it comes down to editing, again, nothing really wrong. When it comes to all the technical aspects of this film, except for lighting, nothing's really wrong.
No.
They don't ever do something wrong.
It's just okay.
What it really comes down to is the story, script, and characters.
Characters the worst. Characters. Just
Okay,
go into the characters.
Hold on, let's think really quick, because once we get into characters, we're not getting out.
Well, let's just go into characters then.
Editing, lighting, so, yeah, that's Oh God, I don't want to.
Directing, lack thereof.
Directing. I mean, it's his first major directing.
No, but he's directed 4 films before.
Yeah, but you have to be quite.
No, just because the movie has bigger names and a bigger budget does not mean the skill necessarily is not there.
I'm not saying the
so.
skill. I'm saying executive meddling sort of thing. Because once you get into the bigger films, your directing power, unless you already had a bunch of directing power to begin with, in which case the executives will basically let you do what you want. If you don't have some clout to your name, then they'll try to, well...
It depends. It depends on who's making it. It depends on who's financing
it. The Wilkinsons.
Well, and that's the thing. Well, the writer had a lot of control with this now. Because, and they picked, if the writer has a lot of control, as well as a lot of executive producing control, then they're going to choose a director who will best formulate their vision.
Yeah.
So...
Martin M. Guigui was that guy.
It was Martin Guigui.
Martin? Okay.
I believe so, anyway. But it was... But the writer also had like 3 other people being executive producers in this movie. Like, there's a lot of involvement from the Wilkinsons.
They made up majority of the credits names.
Yeah,
Wilkinson. All right. After that,
no relations to Kevin Wilkinson, who's the guy who wrote the fucking Scream movies, if I remember that correctly. But
yeah, just go into
characters and whatnot. All right,
characters.
All these characters are supposed to portray a stereotype in a slasher film,
and it's the high school guys too.
However, they don't portray it at all. No. Oh my God. Like, all right, David already said this. It's the mystery gang. It's Scooby-Doo, and we have figured out all the characters and whatnot.
Well, it makes the main group, at least for the first half of the movie, is 4 people. 3 guys. You got one of that little jokester guy. His name was Danny. He's obviously Shaggy. You got one who's just the dick. He is an asshole. He's that guy who sits in the back of the class and just like, so yeah, can this be like a partner test? Because I don't see why it should. Right, guys? Come on. Yeah, we wanted to do that. He's that guy. He's Fred.
He's Fred.
He's
the douchebag with the neckerchief.
Not saying we don't like Fred.
I didn't like Fred.
I didn't mind Fred, but he just didn't have any character that we liked.
Exactly. We have no mind for Fred.
Exactly.
So, same thing with this dude.
Velma and Daphne were both condensed into one character because she was hot and she was smart for the most part.
Until that one point where she was supposed to be the lookout.
Yeah, she was the lookout.
Kept looking one way
like, is there a car
into
coming?
The house.
This was it. Is there a car coming? Is there a car coming? What?
That's basically it. And then she gets entombed. I'm like, it's your fault.
And then she's trapped for the rest of the movie. So that's why she's also Daphne.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Then she gets into his wife's nightgown.
Wait. Oh,
and then
no,
pretends to be her.
Hey, she didn't. They had... It's hard to explain. There's a part later on when Travis, who is the Scooby of the group, he's just the guy who drives it. He's not even interesting.
There's not much character involved.
We'll go over his character.
And they never go over his fucking sister.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess let's do it.
Never!
Let me just get this out of the way.
Never!
At the very end, there's a part where Travis and Eli are fighting. And then the girl comes up behind him. And Travis is like, hey, your wife's behind you. Why don't you say how you killed her? Because he killed her because cheating and stuff. And so he turns around.
Plot.
And in his psychosis... he sees that his wife is there, and he's like, oh, God! But he's not sorry for what he did, because he's an asshole.
He's like, well, I'll let you stay at home.
Yeah, he's like, I married you, we're staying home. And then he realizes slowly that it's not his wife, it's the girl. But what you're thinking of was, they did that in a slow transition between 3 shots, between his actual wife and the girl. But then there was a shot of her in the...
I know, but the thing is, though, when she runs forward to knock him over the head with a shovel, she's still wearing it.
No, but remember, she got out of the truck, and she just bolted away. She never got the nightgown.
Oh, yeah, but she's wearing it when she's knocking him over the head with a shovel. She's not, yes, she is.
I don't think she is.
She is.
Okay, whatever.
Look it up!
You know what? We will. Answer.
See?
I was right. All right, so, all right, Travis, I guess we have to go over. He's the main character, besides Eli. So,
One note.
Here's his note. How could you ever fucking understand? My sister died when I was... that's like...
She would have been 21 now.
She would have been 21.
So that was like 15 years ago.
No one believes me when I say I saw her ghost there, and...
I saw a ghost. I saw something... saw it leaving the window and shit. I'm like, why? That never is brought up again.
It isn't. He's just a one-note character who drives the plot. That's it.
He barely drives the plot, as a matter of fact. And actually, yeah, the thing is, the moment we saw them all sitting around a table at lunch, it's like, introducing the meat. The people who are possibly going to die.
They were talking about going into this guy's house because somehow ghosts were there, because he was dancing with his dead wife. It was just silhouetted, so you couldn't see it, but he was dancing with his dead wife. Like, dude, creepy stuff's going in that house. So what should we do? We should break into that house.
Do you know what could have done that could have completely, like, just not involved anybody in this story and everyone could have lived on fine? If Dennis Quaid's character didn't decide to dance with his wife's corpse in the middle of a silhouetted window.
But then you don't get the psychosis part.
No, you don't have this stupid story.
Yeah,
like, this movie would not exist. $7 million might hopefully have gone to better things, or
it probably wouldn't.
Or they probably went to big budget studio things that no one cares about anymore. But
so yeah, not Dennis. Travis. Travis was a pretty boring character. He didn't really have an arc, I don't think.
The douchebag was just the douchebag. He was like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whereas the guy was just the douche.
He literally opened up. Like, there was a part in the classroom where they introduced everybody. But then he opened up his little conversation with his friends by saying, oh yeah, so your dead sister, what, you see her as a ghost? Ooh.
Yeah, he's a dick about
fucking sister.
He's a dick about everything. And he was like, well, sorry. I'm like, no, you're not sorry.
Just joking around.
You know what? You need a good stab in the face.
And he doesn't get it.
No, he doesn't die.
The Danny character, the Shaggy, is killed.
The character that actually has a little bit of empathy.
He's played. I don't know if you know him. Devin Werkheiser from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Apparently, he's still doing things.
Apparently.
I don't know.
Apparently, Beneath the Darkness is what gave him a paycheck.
But I liked him. He was good in this because he was the Shaggy. You always like the Shaggy, unless the Shaggy's obnoxious.
Like in the Scooby-Doo movies. But, I mean, like, the live-action ones, not the cartoons. Or even in some of the cartoons, but we can get into that some other time.
But yeah, it's just
plug. But
the guy's a dick.
He is a dick, and the girl.
Not Danny. Danny. Okay.
I mean, to be honest, the girl. What was it? Abby. It was like, all right. When I was sitting here watching, I'm like, all right. She's very attractive.
Yes.
They need to show some skin.
They're not going to show some skin.
They're not going to show any skin. As a matter of fact, this is probably one of the tamest horror films I've ever seen.
I looked up the parents' guide to this just to get shits and giggles, and they said nudity and sexuality, none really, and then they listed off a few mild instances where it happens. One of them is you see a teenage boy shirtless. Holy crap on a cracker!
And they kiss a couple times.
Oh my god!
Call the Hays Code. We got violations. I mean. Like, it really is hysterical.
It's a slasher flick with no sex, which is fully possible.
No, it's fine. We don't need the smut, but there's nothing else that'll hold the movie up. So the thing is, one of our usual tangents that we have here on the show is that if you don't have quality, you up the smut. Because that's what keeps us interested.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way, because there is no smut whatsoever in this movie.
The one thing I heard a bunch about this is the suspense. Apparently it was there. I didn't get it.
Nah. I was never, ever, not even remotely close to the edge of my seat at all during this movie.
I was there, but only because I dropped my chips. I think the problem came from, there can be suspense in darkness. But if the entire movie is in darkness,
then there's no suspense.
And there's no suspense.
And also, if Dennis Quaid was A, given much more screen time,
which he was.
B, he was allowed to mug and like muse a lot more, and he also was not used to just jump out of shadows and spook people. Yeah. He's not the boogeyman, okay? If you're going to use Dennis Quaid of all people in a horror film, I've never considered Dennis Quaid to be the strongest actor I've seen in movies. He usually plays the same character in almost every film in some way. He plays Dennis Quaid. But the thing is, though, there are plenty of actors that make a good living and make a good living playing themselves. Right. Christopher Walken, when was the last time you saw him in a movie that hasn't played himself? I think maybe The Deer Hunter. And that was like back in the 70s. So The thing is, I mean, they didn't utilize the talents that the cast actually has. It's not a bad cast. We've done the 6 degrees of separation shit with the cast members.
Before you go on to other, like, just ending this, Dennis Quaid, he's cheesy. He has a lot of cheese to him. He's not good cheese.
He has good cheese.
He has this feeling to him, especially in the later parts, because in the beginning parts he's just like, yes, I'm Dennis Quaid, blah, blah, blah. But then towards the end he's just like, when another man is fucking your wife. He just goes a bit nuts. And I like that part. It was good.
It was good.
Especially, there's 2 things I want to mention about Dennis Quaid's character. First off, just the ending. The very end, he's in an asylum. He's like wrapped up like this. And it's just a slow zoom in where he's just like, hey, I'm better now.
First chance, I'm gonna get out of here.
First chance, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. And it's just, by this point, it's like right here. And they just, love sucks. And movie. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Sequel!
Yeah, that's what they were trying to do. They were trying
or maybe, I don't know.
If it did decent enough, they're like, maybe Dennis Quaid does get out. You don't know. He didn't. And then the second...
Nor do I care if he did.
But that scene was just so enjoyable, just because it was him just fully just like, hey, act like a crazy guy.
Hey, Dennis, go nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they should have done throughout the entirety of the movie.
I mean, the thing is, if they were going to have him be crazy, there's either going to be 2 different things. One, play it down, play the stern, psychological crazy.
Let him be Dennis Quaid.
Or have him go so over the top with everything that he should belong in the Brian De Palma / Oliver Stone movie.
Right.
But they tried to do a little bit of both, and it ends up just smuddling through and ends up not working.
And when he's in his civilian life, like when he's just talking to his neighbors, he's not convincing.
No, he's not.
He's like...
I mean, it's like the director tried to say is like, always try to play like you're hiding something.
Yeah. He's like...
Yeah, because those are the people we overlook.
There was one part in the football game. There was a football game section where he's... The one other teacher or something, because I guess he hangs out with teachers... came up and he was talking about his dead wife. And Dennis said something along the lines like, yeah, we used to... Sorry. I used to. I was like, really? The we didn't tip you off that maybe something's still around there?
Something's still amiss?
I mean, if you're grieving, then sometimes you might still refer to them as the we. Like, we used to do this. We, this. But in the sentence, in the context of that, you know that he was like, oh, shucks, I almost mentioned that I danced with my dead wife in the middle of the living room. With the
who else knows what she does to her?
Oh, God, no. Ugh.
Necrophilia, pop over
Second
cold.
thing I want to talk about, Dennis Quaid real quick, is this is the first movie...
Nymphomaniac 4.
This is the first movie, Matt said, and I also thought, that you see a character using an e-cig.
It is the first movie I've ever seen an e-cig being used.
It's not... Scary!
It's being used by Dennis Quaid in the weirdest parts. And like there's this one zoom up and whatnot where he's like... I'm like...
He just runs off.
See, the thing is with people smoking cigarettes, especially, and this has a lot of Venetian blind lighting, so you can tell that they were trying to go for that dark, grimy film noir type of look with some things. And you get people smoking cigarettes in that because either A, it makes them look hardened and cold and steadfast, or B, it makes them look sinister because of the way that the light plays off their light with the shadows and the way that things are refracted, and also with the glow from the cigarette being that it's red and usually stands in archetypal sense. This is a shining e-cig with a blue light.
It's a little metal pole. That's all you
now,
usually
people who
see.
smoke e-cigs and whatnot will know what I'm talking about. I mean, I smoke my own, too, because, I smoke hookah e-cigs. But the thing is, though, this is not intimidating!
It's not.
At all!
Look at this thing. Look at that.
It's not intimidating. Kind of the thing is, though,
it's just green and red, and that's basically what his was.
I mean, it's just and also, like, he's working... He's working on a guy's corpse, and he's just like, I want to make you look better that way you broke into my house.
It's trying to be a sinister scene.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's not. And also the thing is, it could have been sinister if they had spent more time on it. None of these scenes seem to last more than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the fact that this movie took a million hours to get somewhere, it takes no time doing anything.
Yeah. It gets there and it's like, so what do we do now? No,
Nah.
Let's just dick around for a while.
Alright.
Final? Okay.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Okay. It's not doing anything particularly bad technical-wise, as we said before, but it's just not a good story. It could have been a good story, but this needed to go through a few more drafts and needed to actually test to see if it had terrifying moments, because it didn't. It wasn't working as a horror movie. If you try to pass off as thriller, then don't let us know that the murderer is the murderer before any of the other characters are introduced. Besides that, there were no other genres it could fit under, so it failed at either one of those two.
And it did a horrible job setting up his character in the first place.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought that he would have been slightly more terrifying if, A, he acted normal, or the other thing I said was, if we had just been given time around him. I wouldn't mind if while he's killing, he acts this crazy, but if we had just known him in his normal life, like driving a car, hanging out with people. No, the first shot we get is him jogging down the street trying to catch up to this guy so he can kill him. Take some time for your characters, movie. They're important.
It's called characterization for a reason.
And they completely skip it. So, overall, this movie, never will it be on the bottom of lists. It'll always be in the middle somewhere, because it is just so mediocre. If you need something, you know what it's going to be on the bottom of? Average lighting. That's what it's going to be on the bottom.
This movie is...
Wait, make this your final thought, because I'm done.
Well, this is a movie that's the epitome of, it's good enough. Which is the baseline of all mediocrity here. Now, there could have been some real... They could have done something with it. I'm not necessarily saying that I would have been able to come up with a formula to how to make this movie work. But at the same time, though, there's plenty of people who had skills in horror and thriller writing and design that they could have really chosen to make this movie better and to make it work and to make it sell. Because, unfortunately, now you can't, especially now more than ever, you can't ever try to go into making a film without possibly thinking of the return you're going to get afterwards. And that's just the way that this movie was now. Now look at it. It got like $9,800 back for a $7 million movie. I will say, it's probably made more money than The Room, but at the same time, the fact that these movies that are costing millions of dollars and also have these A to B list actors in their films and whatnot, you can manage something better than this. Just
okay. You went on like money and you went on stuff like that. How about I'm not getting what you're meaning here. All right, so just 2 words, straight in camera. What was this movie?
Movies suck.
All the bad boys want some road, it's tricky.